Hello everybody and welcome back to Let's Play Crusader Kings 2. And your eyes don't deceive you, no, this is not a stream. Okay, this is a proper LP video. It's a shorter LP video. It's an update LP video, just to let you know what's in store for the upcoming stream or 2, or 3, or maybe 4. It's been a while since the last stream. It was before Christmas. It's almost been a month since the last stream. And, you know, it was quite significant what happened in the last stream. So, A, I have to catch up on what happened, and B, I have to sit down and sort of replan as to how to proceed forward, and also think about when I propose to bring this LP, or this stream series, to a conclusion. So I was sat at work today thinking, I fancy playing some CK2 tonight, because I played some CK2 yesterday with a private save, watched some videos, and got back into the CK2 swing of things, which didn't take very long, because I absolutely love this game. And I thought to myself, I've got an idea. It's a very grim idea, mind you. So, today's session, I'm going to update you with the proceedings of the cobblers, because things are happening right about now with the cobblers that you might be interested in. And then I'm going to update you with how I propose to end this series, or when I see the end point of this series. So to start this session off, this update video, we're going to have a very quickish look back at this man, Emperor Johann the Monk, son of the mighty, feared Emperor Johann. You see, he inherited the Empire, the Holy Roman Empire, from his father. A very grateful man. This massive powerhouse in his hands. And despite his father being a rather brutal, conniving, scheming, some would say outright evil individual, who was much loved by his own people, much feared by his own vassals, and of course the enemy, and of course if your name ended with Premislid, he decided to take a slightly different slant. He was trained in the art of intrigue like his father, by his father, and so he had it in him. But he proved to be a little bit more honourable in some respects. He decided to do things a bit more diplomatically and showed much more leniency and even mercy at times than his father would ever have done so. He held a firm and stable rule over the empire for several years, even when it was doubted upon his coronation that he would be able to do so in the wake of his mighty father's death. People thought that the vassals would take advantage of this new emperor and have him wrapped around their little finger, or worse. But he held strong, and soon his vassals came to love him. He held peace over the realm for many, many years. At one point, not even a single vassal had a negative opinion of him. He was revered, a figure of unification within the empire, a beacon over those, round those which could sort of rally, if you will. Ultimately, he also continued his father's work in terms of vassalizing the Pope. Even the Pope bent the knee, and we had a Pope on our side for a long, long time. Excommunications were a thing of the past, and to be honest with you, many in his circle thought that he didn't use the vassal Pope as properly as he could have done. He could have had claims granted on lands at the drop of a hat, but he did not do so, continuing with his honourable methods, didn't use the Pope anywhere near as tyrannically as he could have done. So, all was going smoothly, until a chain of events happened. Now the first thing that he did, again, if you're a cobbler fan, a cobbler family member, you're going to remember this man for one thing, if nothing else. Maybe for two things actually, but the one thing that he has done as a positive is he's changed the succession law of the kingdoms that he was in control of, the Kingdom of Italy, the Kingdom of Bohemia, and of course the mighty Holy Roman Empire. Elective up until that point is now primogeniture, thus cobblers have control, for now at least. And that was a That was a positive. And despite the fact that numerous vassals were outraged at this change of succession law, no longer could they be elected as the next Holy Roman Empire, they remained tight-lipped, and there were only whispers and hushed rumours of dissent, because still, despite the massive change in opinion of the man after this act, they still dare not rise up, for he still had a decent army strength, and they did not wish to draw his ire. But that was just the catalyst of things to come. For he decided to expand into pagan lands. He was successful once before, taking the Duchy of Mecklenburg, I believe, and granting it to his son. And then he decided to try it again, this time with the Duchy of, was it Pomerania? Or Brandenburg, or whatever it was. The next, I think it might have been Brandenburg, to be honest with you. But yeah, he decided to go for round 2 of the Holy Campaign against the Pomeranians as they were, and that didn't end too brightly, for he underestimated the utter dogged determination of the enemy and how much supplies were required to feed his armies. You see, I was unaware, but there is a massive penalty for holy war invasions in pagan lands, which you can only overcome with military organisation, I believe, level 4. As you can see, removes the pagan homeland attrition penalty. We were only military organisation level 3, and hence we suffered massive attrition, and that's exactly why. It's actually one of the rule sets that you can set at the start of a campaign. So that's why we lost so many men. Because of that, we weren't organised enough. We didn't supply our men enough. He overlooked the need to do so, and as a result of that slip, he was not used to military. He's ruled over peace for so long. He wasn't aware of the ins and outs of military acumen, and jumped in on the back of some advisor's advice, chat, and ended up paying the ultimate price, because over half his force died and perished of starvation. His mighty force was decimated in the blink of an eye. And not only that, but rather foolishly, some would say, he used his own personal levies and retinue for the most part to try and take the new lands, and thus his personal strength was severely crippled, whilst the majority of his vassal strength remained at full power. And that, my friends, was a crucial error. For once Johann's forces were weakened, the enemy within rose up. Savoy, Susa, Ferrara and the papacy banded together, and they mustered a force never seen before in an enemy. Several thousand men. The Emperor, God bless him, tried to resolve matters. He flung the entire treasury at mercenaries in an attempt to put the rebellion down with force. And in a mighty pitched battle down here in Italy, 12,000 men versus near enough 12,000 men, the largest clash of horns that the Empire has ever seen, came into being. Now the armies of the Holy Roman Empire were looking good. They were looking on the verge of victory, but some sources say that prominent commanders within the army were bribed before the battle. For when the Empire was about to strike the killing blow, rather obscure and strange military strategies were employed, which were detrimental to the war effort, and it led to the rather unexpected victory of the rebels. To this day, no one knows exactly who or what happened in terms of bribes, but on the grapevine, there are rumours. But the blow was struck and the empire was torn asunder in what can only be described as a tragedy for the Emperor Johann. As a result of that, he went into hiding, daring not show his face in public, for his vassals can no longer stand the sight of him. They cannot stand him. It is utter horror. There are still a few of his loyal vassals that still think he's capable of doing the job, almost forgive him for his mistake. He's only human. It was a very costly one, but he had the Empire's best interests at heart. But if you look at his most powerful vassals, the one which has most of the say and most of the sway, they all hate him. And as a result of events, another dagger was thrust into his heart, as if the one wasn't enough. The Pope decided to get in on the action, and whilst the man was down, the Pope stamped on him like he was nothing more than a pesky ant, and he decided to excommunicate Emperor Johann for his efforts. That was just only the final nail in the coffin. He was already browbeaten, already downtrodden, and already a recluse at this point. His wife, his heir and son have tried in earnest to get him to rally back, come back fighting, and through the combined efforts of his family, the empire has started to stabilise. The coin has gone up, the army size has returned, the retinue are back into recruitment mode. But in terms of any major decisions, he's not taken any for some time. He's gone a step further, and he has now shut the gates of the city. There are a few epidemics branching nearby, but none too close to be overly concerned, but it's just an excuse that he's used to shut away himself even further, to shut away his entire court, whom he has now banished from public life. And as you can see from his trait here, he has become depressed. It's all gotten a bit too much. His father, the thought of his father looking down upon him with utter shame. This would not have happened under Emperor Yessek's rule, he can see him saying. He can hear him now, cackling, laughing. I told you so, you need to keep him in line. Give him an inch, they take a mile. His own son urging him to try and improve the empire which he's going to inherit. It's all too much. He's gone into a state of depression, almost madness. And this is where we find ourselves right now. That's the backstory of the Emperor and how he has gotten into this sticky mess. And I will tell you now that I am not one for editing and using consoles, but I have consoled in the depressed trait because I think it fits in a roleplay sense, and it's going to spice things up a little bit. Because for the first time in CK2, I am going to utilise, this is not going to be me trying to make the game easier, this is me trying to portray how I think this should go as a result of what's happened. Because even if the Emperor's son takes over, his eldest son, the heir, Igor, it's just not going to be any easier. He's going to be a new emperor, still got a torn empire. Vassals aren't going to like him much better because he's got an awful father now. So it's not going to make things easier. I'm not doing this to make things... I'm doing this for roleplay purposes. This is how I see this going, and I want to try this out. So I've consoled in the depressed trait because I want Emperor Johann, this is very grim, to commit suicide. Purely because of the utter shame and embarrassment of what's happened here. And he's just lost the will to live. He cannot physically, at age 54, despite the fact that he is diligent, he cannot bring himself to get out of this. He can't see a way out. There's no way to bring these duchies back into his realm in a quick fix. He's going to be remembered for this horror show that he has created. Let his son take over, start afresh, a new outlook, and pray to their gods that he can right the ship. So with the depressed trait, you actually get an option to commit suicide. We can't do it just yet because we are currently in hiding. So what we have to do is remove ourselves from hiding by opening the gates, and then we can commit suicide. But this is not a guarantee. And this is why, rather than using the console to kill him, I'm actually using the console to give him the depressed trait to use the in-game option of committing suicide, because this can fail. If it fails and he doesn't commit suicide, we shall live with the consequences. And the consequences more than likely will be he will be crippled, near to death, maimed, whatever it might be, and a regency will kick in and we'll go from there. So this is not me trying to make things easier, this is me role-playing him committing suicide, and we're going to see what happens, see if it actually does happen, and if it doesn't, we're still going to live with the consequences. So here we go, depression has gotten the better of him, he's going to decide to end it all. He's got too much. So we can pick how we want to go. We could go with poison. We could go by hanging. We can go by leaping off the balcony whilst having one last view of his realm. He is well versed in cobbler history, and many children have died from parapet tops. He will not go the same way. But we are known, the cobblers, for a certain vintage of wine. Bohemian's finest, in fact, has struck down many a premise lid. We just pray to the gods, it strikes down a cobbler. He is going to poison himself drinking Bohemian wine in a rather strange tribute to his father, I suppose. So here we go. This may not succeed. And this is the usual defensive pact glitch. Take a few days to kick in. In fact, the thing to note from this is that we cannot employ our son as a regent. So before this goes horribly wrong, we might want to employ a regent first, because otherwise some random person will be employed as a regent. Our son cannot be, because he is not in our court. His wife, Empress Sibylla, she was brought across, I cannot remember why actually, I think it was for the stewardship. But he's gonna entrust his most loyal vassal, who happens to be the Duke of Upper Burgundy, who is a family member, is a cobbler. We like him a little bit, he likes us. So we're gonna actually, can we entrust him to be the regent? Yeah. Actually, I don't think it's because he's in my... Actually, I don't think my son is barred from the regency because he's not in my court. I'm thinking he's possibly barred from the regency. Let me just double check. Because he's actually in hiding because there's a plague going on up here. We've got consumption up here, which might be the reason why my son cannot be the regent. Yeah, Prince Igor, grand honorary title. Oh, can he? Oh, he can be. Let's have a look. Just make sure that goes through. Oh, it can. I stand corrected. Right, let's get some of these on the go. So, a designated regent, our son is the regent. So, even if it does go horribly wrong, this suicide attempt, our son will still take control in the regency capacity. But it will just be he will still be alive, so he will still be emperor by name, if nothing else. If he's turned into a vegetative state. Let's keep going. It had barely been a few moments before you started to cough blood after ingesting the poisonous brew you had concocted, made from Bohemia's finest wine. Finally, you would be released from this dreary world. I think it's worked. Oh, it's worked. When I was trying this off camera for the first time, I actually jumped off the parapets and it didn't work, and he ended up becoming maimed. with a serious head injury, so that's why I know it wasn't guaranteed to succeed. But I picked the poison because I just thought it was better in fitting with the old cobble of wine. It's never failed us yet, and it never failed him when he wanted to end it all. Well known to be charitable, he freely gave money to his friends and family, a godly man. So he made a mistake. If we look at his rule, he made a mistake. But he made a mistake trying to expand the empire and was stabbed in the back by his vassals who weren't happy with the law change. But on the whole, I mean, I personally think he ruled very well up until that point, with honour, with mercy. He was very charitable. His own people loved him. He kept pumping his money into Bohemia like his father did as well. So it's quite tragic what happened to the man. But now we have a new dog in town. And that dog is Igor the Spider. As we tick it over just a little bit more. So Emperor Igor the Spider, who has got a whopping 25 intrigue as an elusive shadow. You're all itching now to wonder, how is he going to proceed? Now the first thing to note is, actually, the vassal opinions are worse than they were with the previous emperor. They're worse, yeah? As I said, this is not done to make life easier. So he's got a lot of work to do, just to stabilise the empire. This could go horribly wrong. So we'll see what happens on that front. What is his goal? What is our goal with him? You see, I don't know, I can't remember if he was alive when his grandfather was, he might have been a child when his grandfather was alive, but he certainly has heard about his grandfather's endeavours. Oh, he has. And he's seen his father's endeavours. And he's compared and contrasted the two outcomes. Now, of course, we do have his inbuilt traits: schemer, patient, humble, deceitful, paranoid, kind, craven. They're going to kind of go a little bit against the RP I have in mind for this man. And I know I've been role-playing the traits, but I'm actually going to use recent events to kind of tarnish him a little bit. He's going to be kind and charitable and whatnot to certain people, but there are certain people that kindness does not extend to. You see, his grandfather got things done by having certain people fear him. His father's mercy was spat back in his face. And therefore, if you want to get anything done, he's thinking, in this realm, you cannot afford to show a soft underbelly. So to those who show loyalty and friendship, he is going to reciprocate that. Gifts of gold, titles, you name it, they can have it. But for those dogs that have dared to cause my father grief and ultimately kill himself, I've got a feeling if they're ever caught and put in our cells, God help them. Because whatever our grandfather did to his prisoners will do twice as worse. I'm telling you now. They better hope to God they die before they end up in our prison. That's all I'm going to say about that. Prepare for the maiming to commence. So that's the first thing. That's his first goal, is to reclaim lost land. However he needs to do that, we'll sort of concoct a way somehow. I may need your assistance, guys. Let me know if there's anything I can do to expedite this process of bringing these guys back under the Holy Roman wing. And if we do take back their lands, their current dukes who are in charge right now and have orchestrated this uprising, I will take note of their names. They are going to be in trouble. So that's his first target, his first goal. But there is a second goal that this man, the Spider, has on his list. You see, his father didn't expand very much. He was more of a stabiliser. He stabilised the empire, grew the prosperity of our main kingdom by using empire money, and he took a couple of lands up here from the Pomeranians, tribal lands, not the greatest for the economy, but he didn't expand a great deal, and he was kind of stifled by the defensive pact situation. Expanding militarily was quite tough. So the spider is using his little brain here, and he's come up with an intrigue, a scheme, a diplomatic scheme. He's taking the best of both worlds, the intrigue of his grandfather and his father, with the diplomacy of his father. He's gone away and he's consulted the law books, and he's been scratching his head and talking to prominent people in his council, and he has come up with, some might say, a cunning plan. You see, he wants to be remembered for something. His father is going to be remembered not just because of what's happened recently, but more positively as the man that ensured that Cobulars would rule the empire line after line, generation after generation, by changing the succession law. That was a big thing. His grandfather was more famously known for rising from mere count to emperor in rapid time and becoming this figure of pure dread to some people, but yet loved by others. Kind of a Jekyll and Hyde character. So he wants his own memory, and that memory is going to be the man that incorporated an entire kingdom into his realm. He's going to expand the Holy Roman Empire like nobody has ever expanded it before, or so he hopes. For when he was consulting his law books, he looked at a certain inheritance situation and thought, hang on a second, there is a little, not loophole, but there is something quite interesting here. You see, if for instance the heir of France, who is currently a child I believe, so we can't use him at the moment, but if a current heir of France was invited to our court and then given a piece of land as a county, we've got plenty, and then subsequently given a kingdom title, aka the rather poisoned chalice of the Kingdom of Italy that we also hold, he would become, of course, the King of Italy, but he would be our vassal king. What's the significance of that, you may ask? Well, the significance of that under the laws of vassal inheritance is that should the King of France then meet a natural, or more likely sticky, demise, and the King of Italy, as he would be, and heir to France, inherit the Kingdom of France title, because that title is equal to the rank of the title that he holds under us, the entire of France would become Holy Roman. He would become King of France and Italy, but because he already swears fealty to us, France would come under the Holy Roman banner as a vassal kingdom. And in one swoop, an entire kingdom would be amalgamated into the Holy Roman Empire. Taking that much land in one go is unprecedented from either our grandfather or our father, and that would be his lasting legacy. So that is his plan. The plan is, France is our first choice because it's large and it's next door. England is our second choice because, hell, it's England and I like England. Our third choice would be Denmark, and our fourth choice would be Sicily. And then if push comes to shove, we've got Poland, Hungary or Croatia if we get desperate. Now, I've been through all of these kingdoms off camera and none of them are suitable because all the heirs either don't want to come to us as an adult right now, or because they currently are children. And if the heirs won't come, then we have to go for the second in line or the third in line, and then murder the higher claimants until we get to where we want to be. But ultimately, his goal, as well as capturing the lost land, is to vassal inherit a kingdom title. I only found out about this about 3 days ago, Vassal Inheritance, and I played the game for over 200 hours. I mean, it's amazing how many things you can learn about this game when you've played it for so long. It's just so many layers to it. Even committing suicide, I just found out today for the first time. So can he do it? Can he reclaim the lost land? Can he amalgamate an entire kingdom in one go? Who knows? So in terms of the future of this campaign, my end goal is going to be at the conclusion of his life. So let's hope he lives at least to ripe old age. Unless, of course, we don't get the Vassal Inheritance. I want to try it out. I want to see. I do know it's worked. I've researched it. I know it's going to work, but I want to do it. So if he dies before it happens, I'll continue with the next person until Vassal Inheritance happens and we get a kingdom in one go. But if he manages to procure a kingdom in one go, even if he doesn't reclaim the lost lands, when he dies, the campaign, the series will end. I'll upload the game save. You can continue on with the game save in your own time to see how the cobblers play out for you. But that's where this series will meet its formal conclusion. So there you go, folks. Let me know your thoughts on things. Any advice? Please feel free to leave it. And the next stream for the series is planned at the moment for this coming Saturday. That could be subject to change because I do have a potential appointment. I say appointment, I may have to go out. I'm not completely sure just yet, but I'll let you know around about Thursday for certain whether it's going to be either on Saturday. If not Saturday, it will be next Monday. But it's coming, folks, and it's going to be a barnstorm, I tell you. There's lots of work to be done and lots of plotting and scheming to do. Igor's in town and he ain't happy. His father's committed suicide and he's out for revenge. Until the stream, see you soon.